Hi there, good evening, and welcome to the Four Lads Had the Dream podcast network. My name's Scott Patterson. This is your Sunday show for Sunday, the 21st of September. A couple of familiar faces on the one very, very familiar coupon we have on the podcast for your Sunday night, and one newbie-ish to us on a Sunday. Sheryl, how are you?
I'm brilliant, thank you. I'm delighted to be back with you, and thank you for having me back. And before we get started, I need to make Doogie's apologies for him as well. He gave us some flannel about a family commitment, but I think he's probably holed up in a bunker with the amount of people that have come after him after his outlandish comments about the best midfield three of all time in the world ever in Europe. Yeah, so he'll be back when folk with pitchforks, including Stevie, have left his front garden.
What an intro. Goodness me. Yeah, and it's great. Doogie will be delighted that you've led with that, Sheryl. I'm absolutely certain of it. And Andrew making his Sunday night debut. Andrew, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Pleasure to be here. Given that I'm not on Mondays, then I thought I'd squeeze in on Sunday instead and talk about Rangers winning a game. It's so unusual. It's so rare. We've not had the opportunity to talk about it too much. So it's a real pleasure.
Do you know, you're absolutely right, because we said just before we started, it's quite refreshing almost to get to this stage of the weekend, and Rangers haven't really ruined it for you on Sunday night, which is quite refreshing. As I say, listen, before we get into it, I do want to say a big hello to our sponsors, Black Rooster, Clyde Joinery, CSD Air Conditioning, Art of Gold and Athol Industrial Solutions, who look after the podcast for the duration of the season. We are extremely grateful for their assistance. In addition to that, big hi and thank you to the guys at iSport Media who are looking after the Sunday show between now and the end of the season. So we're really grateful to have these guys on board and helping tonight. We are speaking about Rangers, Raskin and Russell, and probably in that sort of order, if I was being brutally honest with you. We're going to do a bit on the protests pre-match, and during the opening 20 minutes of the match, we'll do a big bit on Nico Raskin and how important it was to the way that the match eventually ended up. And we'll also do a little bit about the comments that we got back and forward from Russell post-match. Sheryl, on your way to Ibrox yesterday, knowing what you thought you knew and maybe what you expected, how was it for you, that walk from the car to the stadium?
Well, do you know what? I'm going to let you down here because little Richie had a party till 4:30. So I missed it. I missed. We didn't get there till about 5 o'clock. So all we seen was everybody coming away. But from what I've then seen on social media, etc., it looked really busy, and so it should. I think everybody was well within their rights to go. It was well organised. It was well attended. It seemed to pass off without any trouble. So I think it looked great.
So I took my wee fella to the game yesterday, and I did say to him that so my wee fella has not long turned 8, and I did suggest to him when we walk around the corner here, it may be quite busy. And at that point, he'd been passed a banner, and I probably at that point wasn't sure of what to expect as far as volume of people was concerned. I was really surprised the amount of punters that were there at the front door yesterday. It was quite a passionate display, I think, of the support at that moment. And I think obviously at that moment we're not entirely sure if we're going to progress, whether it's going to be a good afternoon or a negative afternoon. I think at that point a lot of us were maybe a bit sceptical over how it was going to go. Andrew, I don't know what you've seen of the build-up to it, if you've had the chance to maybe catch much of it today, but what's your opening thoughts to that?
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, obviously, I think, as you guys say, the protest was well attended, and I think with good reason. You know, the fans are not happy with the situation. One game isn't going to make a huge difference to that, but in terms of the pre-match build-up, it was one of those things where I'm going over to my old man's house to watch the game, and it's, as I said to my missus just before I left the house, you know, you ever have a thing where you know you've got to do it, but it's going to be miserable, so you're just not looking forward to it when you get there? That's exactly what it was like. And I love spending time with my dad, and we were going to get a curry and everything, so that was all good. It was just, you know, the thing that we were going to be doing together that was less fun. But Rangers continue to do Rangers things, and that includes surprising us and pulling out performance when we least expect it, because I think in all of the build-up to this, in all the protests, I don't think anyone thought that, you know, we were going to see that level of performance at the team. So it was a genuinely nice surprise.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. My concern going into the match was, so I kind of half expected them to play Martin Boyle up top on his own and launch balls over the top because he's got the pace to try and get around the back. And he'd done that, as we say, the opening 20 minutes. I don't think the board who were in attendance, I don't think if Parag Marat was there, but we obviously know that Andrew Kavanagh was certainly there, and he couldn't have failed to hear and see the disdain for that opening 20 minutes that was shown towards Russell Martin. And we then, I don't know what it was that was thrown out the pitch. At first I thought it was tennis balls, but even now I'm not entirely sure if it was. Richie, any idea what that was? It was launched on?
I think Patterson, it was a mixture. I think it was a mixture like tennis balls, golf balls, dog balls, etc.
Right, okay. So up until, so I thought the first 20 minutes we were particularly flat, Sheryl. I thought we started really quite poor. Looked like a team that were under quite a bit of pressure. And I actually think the goal that Hibs scored that was rightfully disallowed was almost a boot in the rear end that we needed to actually think, right, well, we need to actually we need to get a bit of a grip of ourselves here and actually try and show that we are here to do something and we do want to progress to the next round of this tournament. How did you think of the opening 20 minutes? It was just, do you think the demonstration pre-match, and I think David Lewis, I think his name is suggested in the comments that the sort of protest pre-match acted as a bit of a team talk, if you like, for the team before they came out. But that opening 20 minutes showed that it wasn't really working that well, because I didn't think we started well at all yesterday.
Mm-hmm. I think it actually, as much as I agree with it, that must have been quite a hard thing in your build-up and your prep, because it would have been right outside the dressing room pretty much, wouldn't it? That must have been, quite difficult. But no, I the only thing I don't agree with as much, I think the banners were excellent. I think the sentiment behind them was really good. I'm not a great fan of the on-pitch stuff during the game.
Yes,
and you could see Jack Butland kind of waving furiously. That's the only bit I'm not so sure of. I suppose if you're going to do it in a game, maybe that's the one to do it in. But I'm not a fan of it happening during the game. But like you, I thought the first 20 minutes were quite nervy.
Andrew, there's always the right to protest, and I think us as listen, I don't want to use the holier than thou approach, but I think when you look at the sort of people that have came and gone into that director's box in the last sort of 10, 12, 13 years, we're always going to question what is exactly going on. And if things aren't going right, we're instantly going to question it. We're instantly going to say, right, what's going on? What's the plan? Is there a plan? How are we getting out of this if it goes belly up? We saw the fan advisory board publish their minutes from last week to suggest that there is a plan B. I think that we would be hopeful that we don't go near it, to be perfectly honest with you, because we could do with a bit of stability. However, we need a Rangers winning team in the first instance. And I think Sheryl's right. I think the launching of the balls onto the pitch probably didn't help any sort of rhythm get created for the starting 11 yesterday.
Yeah, when we're in a position where it's a must-win game, I mean, all games for Rangers are must-win games, but especially a cup game where it's a knockout competition, you know you get the result there. I did think that it disrupted the flow that we sort of had going in the opening 10 minutes, but we did genuinely look quite ropey for that first sort of 15-20. Boyle has got two really good attempts. I mean, one's in the back of the net, albeit with a helping hand, and the other one's, a stone cold chance, which he contrives to throw over the top of the bar. So they should have been well in control of the game. I don't think the protest helped with it. But on the other hand, they're fans, they're entitled to protest. I don't particularly agree with throwing stuff onto the pitch, because I don't think that's particularly good. It's not quite the level of hurling glass bottles onto the pitch or anything like that, but it's still not ideal. But in terms of banners, chants, attending or not attending, as the case may be, that is all entirely within the rights of the fans, because they're the people who put the money into the club. They're the people who are attending. So, yeah, I think I certainly do not think we looked in control that opening 20 minutes. And I believe, Sheryl, to your comment, Russell Martin said that the chanting actually started just as they were doing their team talk as well inside the dressing room. So, yeah, I mean, certainly the players and staff will have been well aware of the fans' feelings in the build-up to that.
Andrew, I'm going to stay with you because Andrew Gill has jumped into the chat tonight watching on the YouTube channel. The first goal is so important with this team at the moment. It's kind of ironic that considering the last sort of 10 days or so that we've seen with Nico Raskin and Russell Martin, the sort of back and forth face slapping that I think we've seen probably done a wee bit too publicly for everyone's liking, to be perfectly honest with you. It's kind of ironic that it's Nico Raskin that kind of gets us all going in the end yesterday, isn't it?
It's weird, right? If you play one of your best players, suddenly things start happening for you. It's crazy, right? The thing is, it's not completely out of the blue. We've seen Nico Raskin can do that kind of header. It's ironic that we spent the summer, signing 6'5" monsters, and Nico Raskin's still the one who's getting on the end of these. But yeah, it's a really well worked corner. It's a great ball in from Tav. It's a fantastic header. The keeper's got no chance with it whatsoever because it's just so snappy. It's so fast. You could see it meant a lot to him as well, for sure. Yeah. And it's certainly didn't appear as though the rest of the team had a problem with him either, despite what was intimated in the past. Everyone's around him, everyone's congratulating him. So the first goal is always massively important, but especially for us, especially in the form that we've been in, and especially with the mood of the support and the team itself, it was massive for us to get that opening goal. And then we managed to capitalise on it quite quickly afterwards as well.
Scotty, to interrupt you, I think is a massive thing for us as well, especially if you look at some of the performances last season. We didn't drive on and get that second goal or third goal or whatever. So I think that was huge yesterday as well.
So, and Sheryl, I was going to come at you and just say about Raskin. I think I think Paul, who watches us more often than not, jumps in and said he was almost like a man on a mission. That sort of first half, he was finding great wee pockets of space. I actually think that, and we will come on to the three of Asgard, Diomande and Raskin, I actually thought the disciplined nature of the way that Diomande played allowed Raskin to be a little bit more advanced and sort of pick up pockets between sort of Gassama and the sort of midfielder that was sitting more deeper at the time. But he did start really well. You could tell that, I felt you could tell that he'd almost missed that game time, that ability to play at Ibrox, that he's missed two big games. He missed the Old Firm game, which I'm sure scunnered him, and he missed the Hearts game. And the noise that's went on around him missing the game hasn't been at all helpful. He had a point to prove yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah, I think the role that he played freed him up a wee bit more, though, as well. Do you know, he was given a wee bit more room to move, and he really did. He drove us on. It was like a captain's performance. He was involved everywhere. And he pushed us up. He was the one that was kind of pushing us forward as well. But I don't know if you guys heard it. I still found it really interesting when I was driving home yesterday. I think it was on Martin's BBC interview. He still intimated that there was things that had gone on around Raskin, and that's why he hadn't been involved. And it was such a Russell Martin term. I think it was something like, it helped his personal growth and things like that. So he's still not really ready to let go of the fact that something has clearly happened between them. What, we'll maybe never know. I know there's been loads of speculation about it, but he's still kind of putting that point out there that there has been more to this than we're aware of.
Andrew, do you think that they've just agreed to no be pals, but will still play anyway?
I think Russell Martin was at pains to stress that they had a really good professional relationship.
Yeah.
And I think Raskin was perfect in his post-match interview. I mean, it's very easy to, take the high road when you've scored a goal and kicked off a winning performance for the first time in a month. It's quite easy to be magnanimous in that situation, but he was still very I think, measured with his word, especially given, that English isn't his first language. I think he was very precise in what he was saying.
Yeah.
Didn't want to get drawn into any of the kind of backroom drama or anything like that. Was just keen to stress, he's here, wants to win football games. He wants to play for Rangers, all this stuff. And I think it was really well measured. If we want to speak more about the Raskin performance, I agree that Diamande playing next to him in that specific role that he did really helped him, because it's much better when you have these defined roles. And for these two to work really well together, it's going back to that Steven Gerrard era where we had that kind of double pivot where we had two players who could, one goes, one stays. These two work really well together. It was one of the few bits of the team that was working well together last season, which is why it was so odd that it was chopped up. But nonetheless, it was really good to see it working, and good to see it getting results as well. I don't think it's the only reason that we got a strong performance, but it certainly did not hurt us in any way. So
No, I agree. Second goal of the afternoon, of course, the winner, if you like, was Miovski's first goal for Rangers. Glad it came at Ibrox. Glad it came in a game that we really needed a second goal. And Sheryl, I think if he was to get a decent run of games with decent service, and the latter part of that is really, really, really important, because at the moment I don't think he's had much of that since he arrived. But he'll be glad to get that first goal yesterday, and hopefully get him on that path to scoring more.
Yeah, because that's the kind of goals he scores, isn't it? If you give him those opportunities, he will, I think, 9.99999 times out of 10, he'll put them away, which is what we've missed last season as well, because towards the end of last season, some of Desser's misses were if it wasn't your team, you would find them hilarious. So to have somebody there that will put those chances away, I think is absolutely huge. And I know we'll probably go into him later, but I think Mikey Moore's role in that was pretty good as well, because there was question marks over him. I wouldn't have started him personally, and I did wonder why he kept kind of coming in slightly. But it was only when I watched that second goal today I realised why he was playing in that role, and it worked for that goal, certainly.
Big Phil mentioning Miovski and McCoist in the same sentence. I wish we could save messages like this for later on in the season, because we may come back to that. Andrew, I mean, the reality is that any striker at Rangers has to get goals. And I think for him to score, for Miovski to score when he did, just before half-time, give us a really nice cushion. At that point, the full atmosphere around Ibrox has changed. It completely changes. The protests seem to have died away. There's no suggestion of where Russell Martin should go at any point during the second half, from what I can remember. I may be wrong. But it just, 2-0 at half time, just completely changed the remainder of the afternoon, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if we just look at our attack for a moment, I think that the fear was when we saw the team lineup announced that it was going to be, we're going to put Gazan out on the right and we'll stick more on the left then instead. Because obviously, because Magoma and Gazan have got a good working relationship, we obviously had to split that up immediately. But they both played really well together. The fact that we did see them dovetailing together quite well, I think all of our effective attacking was on that left-hand side.
Yeah.
More, I agree with Sheryl. I wouldn't have been putting him in for the game. I think either Ant-Man or even Curtis, I think, are probably better shouts just based on the form that they've had. But he does contribute. He gets the assist for the goal. Of course, started by Nico Raskin again. And I'm so happy for Miovski, because it's exactly the type of goal that I think we were expecting to get from him. And we know that we've obviously got Chimetti, Danilo still in the building as well. So it's not just going to be one-man show. It is going to be, a mix of strikers. If we want to compare, Miovski and McCoist, then, McCoist always had Haitley and other strikers around them as well. So it's never just the one guy. I'm not going to say that they're on the same level as McCoist and Haitley just yet. It's maybe early doors to make sweeping assumptions about how good certain bits of our team are. And I certainly wouldn't want to do anything like that. But It was an excellent passage of play for that, and as we've said at the start, the fact that we secured it so quickly after that first goal as well, it really puts you in the driving seat for the second half. It means that Hibs have got to come out and chase. It means that you're in control, and it just really set us up really nicely. And it meant that we finished that first half on a complete high as well.
Yeah, I mean, and I go back to what I say. I think the importance of going in at half time, so at the next gap, if you like, after the match starts, going in with a modicum of positivity is so important for Russell Martin and the players, by the way, because I think if they go in, say, for example, VAR doesn't work, and we all know VAR works all the time, and that goal does stand, I'm not sure that Rangers come back into that game after conceding a goal yesterday. Considering, because if that goal counts, the Ibrox will just go up, to be perfectly honest with you. There'll be people, I mean, the amount of people that left after Hibs scored was really surprising, despite it still going to VAR, which suggested to you there was a couple of guys that were obviously at the game yesterday who had already made their mind up. It was only going to need one goal to go in, and I was Miovski. And I understand that people pay their money, they've got the right to do as they please. But we do need as many fans in there as possible now, and I think it's really important that the players now get behind the team moving forward. It's really important. Second half for me was a bit of a non-event, to be honest with you. Ant-Man came on, had a really sort of nice run. We had moments, I think, from Gassam on the left-hand side, who looked really good. Magoma looks really good down the left-hand side. Big thing for me, Cheryl, that I want to speak about, and it's one thing that I've said for a long, long time now. I've been doing podcasts for X amount of years, and the importance of having two centre-halves that are balanced is really, really, really important in our game, because if you have a right-sided guy playing the left side of the two, they look awkward and clunky. They look like John Souttar playing in that position. And seeing Souttar playing on the right side and Big Derek Cornelius playing on the left side was really, really good. And it looks like that's a partnership that could work and could be the first choice one moving forward.
I think so. I think seeing Souttar back where he should be made a big difference. The only thing I thought about, is it Cornelius or Cornelius? I don't know. I thought it was Cornelius, but they changed it yesterday, didn't they?
So I would always go with, so the reason I know is that there used to be a guy that played with Falkirk years and years ago called Neil Duffy. He was from South Africa and his first name was Cornelius. So I'm just going to go with Cornelius. There'll be an expert in the chat that'll probably tell me I'm wrong, but I'm going to say Cornelius.
Well, the announcer called him Cornelius.
Oh, you might be wrong. I don't know.
Listen, do you know what we need to find out? We need to watch Tom Miller.
You'll know. Goodness me.
Go for the opposite of whatever that is. No offence to him. I thought he looked quite composed. The only thing was, Scotty, I thought he looked a wee bit slow, and I thought he looked a bit culpable at the goal that wasn't a goal.
Yep.
In the end, I thought he was slow getting back. I thought Butland could have came out a wee bit faster as well. But other than that, no, I think those two at the back looked far more balanced than they have. What do you think about him with Giga?
So do you know the reason that I think it will be Souttar and Cornelius is because I don't think Giga's looked comfortable in any game he played yet. So, and I'm not suggesting for a second the boy's not a good defender. I'm sure he is, and I think we've got. We've had moments where he's played and you just thought, wow, he isn't going to get this. He can't take the ball being passed out to his feet. And I'm not suggesting for a second that Souttar's a master of it by any matter of means, but I just think Giga looks really unsure of himself when he just gets the ball laid to him. I'm a great believer in him as well, and it's been because I've been brought up with guys like Goff and Boots. See your defenders, particularly your two centre halves. I don't need you to be great footballers, but I need you to be able to defend. It's as simple as that. If I want you to horse the ball the length of the pitch, I'm quite happy for you to go and do that. I don't need you to play nice tippy-tappy passes between the right back and the CDM up to the 8. I don't need you to do that. I just need you to defend. And I'm not sure we have seen enough excellent defending moments of Giga today, Cheryl. I don't know if that's something that you think as well.
Look, my answer to everything or anything good this season so far, it can now maybe include Hibs, but it will be that hour against Pilsen.
Aye, yeah, fair.
That's it. But you could apply that to pretty much. I mean, God, I think even Max Aarons gets into that category. So it's all relative. Do you know what I mean? But other than that, no, I agree with you 100%. I think one thing I will say yesterday, and there was still moments where we were watching behind our fingers, but I thought they looked a bit more comfortable playing it out from the back.
Yes.
There was still moments where you were like, oh my God. But I think most teams, like whoever you watch playing like that, there's going to be those moments. But I think we certainly looked more comfortable, certainly, than we have done yesterday, playing it out from the back.
So Andrew, I think what Cheryl's suggesting there, and I think it speaks to the point of having the left-sided centre-back and the right-sided centre-back. Jack Butland is surely going to be more comfortable passing to a left-sided centre-back ahead of him, as opposed to playing that to a guy that's maybe going to take another couple of touches to get a bit of comfortability to progress with the ball.
Crazy idea about playing players in the positions that they prefer to play in.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm no football manager, so I mean, it's obviously crazy wizardry as far as I'm concerned, you know. But I think it's a thing that suits both of those players as well, because Suter looks more comfortable with a naturally left-sided centre-back next to him. He can play on the right. Derek looks fantastic out on the left as well. And as a result, Butland's comfortable with the two of them in front of him because he knows that they are solid. It's, you know, less like we've had with Giga, with Fernandez even as well, where an element of that is Butland's got the fear about the guys who are in front of him. And especially, you know, when you've got Suter who's effectively had to babysit them. Like if he can't trust them fully, then he's got to be looking after them, which means he's always, you know, in two places at once, mentally at least. So I think it looked much, much better from a defensive standpoint. Hey, it's a clean sheet as well, right? Despite the ball being in the back of the net. So good start. And that's what it is. Because at the end of the day, this is only one game, but it was still looked much closer to a team that can win games, as unusual as that has been for us. So, very exciting stuff initially.
Do you know that way when you talk about that sort of triangle, if you like, the goalkeeper, left-sided centre-half and the right-sided centre-half, it maybe looks a bit better if you've got a goalkeeper that's more comfortable playing out with his feet as well. I think it's easy to look at the outfield guys as the guys that are maybe causing the breakdown in comms or there's the breakdown in momentum. I think if you've got, and I love Jack Butland, by the way, I have to say, really, really like him. I think the best goalkeeper that we ever had at Rangers who was good with the ball at his feet was Vaterus, because he could launch it for miles with either foot. I don't think we've ever really had a goalkeeper that's been really that clever with the ball at his feet. And I think Jack Butland, while he's better than many of them, I still think you can see there's elements of discomfort there. Cheryl, left back has been a problem for us for what feels like a long time. Ridvan, Barisic, etc., etc. Magoma looks okay.
Yeah, he does. He's coming on a game. The more he plays as well, and his link up with Gassam, I like. I think they've got the foundations of something pretty good there, and he doesn't look phased either.
Yeah.
No, I was impressed with him, and the more I see him, the better he looks as well.
Yeah, he's one of these guys that, John, he's one of these players that I think you can see he's trying, he gets it, he almost, I don't want to say appreciates the opportunity to be getting the game time at a team like Rangers, but I think he maybe realises that if he wasn't at Ibrox, he'd be struggling to get game time elsewhere. We need the left back. He's kind of came in, he's done the job well, Andrew. I think the importance of having relationships with someone who's playing one ahead of him is really important, and you need that guy to be on form. Gassam was good yesterday. We have seen him moved across to the right-hand side, didn't look at it. When I look back to the Old Firm game, it surprises me that we didn't just launch him onto Ralston, to be perfectly honest with you. But they do look like they are slowly but surely developing a really good relationship down that left-hand side.
Yeah, spoke about it at the start. Having those two playing together looked like the most effective part of our attack. Out of all the left backs we currently have at the club, he's definitely the best one. But it would be really good to have an alternative there because it's Rangers. I still have the fear that he'll fall down in the grass the slightly wrong way and be out for 6 months or something insane like that. But he's been really good for us. I think his partnership with Gassam has been excellent. You can see already they're finding little patterns of play together and hooking up really nicely. And we did get a couple of good old crosses in as well. Just little bits of play starting up. It was also not having Raskin. Not Raskin, Bridvan in there, constantly looking for a way to pass it backwards has been fantastic. So, I'm really happy with that. I think of all the kind of loanees, I guess, he looks the most like someone we should absolutely be trying to push for a permanent contract if we can for next season. But we shall see.
I completely agree. He was one of these. He went on a run towards the end of the match, and he almost ran the length of the pitch with the ball. And I thought, good on you. He's shown a bit of intent, I think, at that point, which is great for us to see as supporters. Of course, at that point, well, we're done. We're in the semi-final, but it's just good to see that they're still thinking about progression and trying to get involved and staying involved. Sheryl, our Sunday night colleague Dougie suggested this midfield trio of Asgard. I know of Asgard, Dio, and Raskin are the best he's ever. He never said that. But listen, you have to say, and the three of them were very good yesterday. We've done a bit about Dio, and we've also done a bit about Raskin. Asgard needs to have. Hi, Douglas. Asgard needs to have. He must have a run of form now, and let us see what he's really all about. I actually thought the game against Celtic he played really well. His job was clearly to sort of stifle Callum McGregor, and we've seen him in moments. I think since then we've seen him go away on international duty and score for relatively easily taking goals. However, you've got to be there to take them. I thought it was good yesterday, and that three did work. That three absolutely worked.
Do you know what? I thought it was better in the second half, but it's the same criticism that I would have yesterday that I had against Hearts. He wants far too long on the ball.
Yeah.
Right. That for me just now is the main thing with him. And look, I'm sure it's just a case of getting used to football up here. But I found particularly the first half, he needs to move the ball a wee bit quicker. He was taking far too long on the ball. And it was the same. I think Stevie and I said it at the same time during the Hearts game. It was the same in that game as well. I have no doubt. I thought second half he was really good. But that would be my criticism. I think he needs to give us a wee bit more. I think he needs to try and get the ball forward a wee bit more as well, because he has a wee bit of a tendency to stop and sometimes send it back as well. But no, I do think he looked good. I think he looked better as the game went on yesterday. I'm not sure if I would be as vociferous in my praise of the three of them together. I thought Dio went off at the right time. I thought he made a couple of... The thing with him is these stupid fouls, these kind of needless bookings that he gets. Yeah. And I did think yesterday, if Martin didn't take him off, he probably would have ended up getting sent off. And I think Martin probably realised that and then hooked him. Not as vociferous as Dougie, but yeah, I do think there's great potential within that midfield three.
So I think what you've said there is by referencing the potential was almost what Dougie was meaning, Andrew, the potential of having three effectively international standard midfielders in there, all capped for their country, all looking to get back into World Cup squads. We know that the deal with Raskin, etc. Asgard, we know, is doing a job for Norway as well. So I think Dougie's wild take was primarily more about the potentially those three being really, really promising as time passes.
It's all potential at the moment because this is still only one game. I mean, you can absolutely get excited about it. And, I enjoyed the game, which, was a shock. Hasn't happened for a few Rangers games. But it was promising, and that midfield did work well. I think Asgard's still not quite 100% fit yet. I'm sure he's perfectly fit. I think more than match fitness, getting himself back up to speed, because he's still only a couple of games out from that injury. Raskin and Dio together, we know what that can do for us. We know if the rest of the team around is fit and firing and working well, then they can be very effective. The issue that I have with Dio, silly fouls aside, is that he can blow quite hot and cold.
Yeah.
He does, I think, not even necessarily deliberately, but he does absolutely have games where he just is more engaged, puts in more of a performance. I don't know if that's something you can coach out or if that's just inherent to the player. But what it does mean is that we need to rely on players like Connor Barron and Lyle Cameron to be able to come in. Lyle Cameron, I think, has been a big miss, because I think he's been one of our most effective midfielders, Nico Raskin aside. And Connor Barron, I don't think is doing himself any harm at all when he's coming on, because he slotted in very nicely for Dio and, kept things moving, kept things playing along, and was really good there. So it's all potential right now. It was quite good. I wouldn't necessarily say it is the absolute best midfield in Scotland, because I don't think the best midfield in Scotland sits 11th in the league. But there is potential. It does look good. It looked promising in one-off game. It's incumbent on the players and the management team to continue to get those level of performances out of them, and maybe improve the league form. And, if we look at it after 6 or 7 games, we can maybe start getting more excited about it, because we've seen far too many instances over the past few seasons of a one-off performance looks really promising, but then we're quickly let down. So we really need to see a run of performances now. We need to see a run of wins as well. Yeah. That's what we need to see.
Sheryl, if you're Oliver Antman or Finlay Curtis, are you frustrated you're not getting a shot down the right-hand side ahead of Mikey Moore?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not really sure what the deal is there, because I thought he was really poor against Hearts. I don't know if we have some kind of agreement with Spurs that he plays a certain amount of game time, or he gets a certain amount of game time. And I suppose the argument would be we've got 2 huge games. We've got a difficult game next Sunday, and we've obviously got the Genk game on Thursday. So maybe, I don't know, Russell Martin's looked at it, and if he has to have a certain amount of game time, I suppose yesterday is the game that you would maybe put him into in comparison to those other 2. But yeah, no, I think they've got, they'd be quite justified in being a wee bit miffed about why he's getting in front of them if there is no agreement in place in terms of game time. Do you know what? I wouldn't use the term, I don't think he's regressed, but what I liked about him when he first came on the scene was he didn't look overawed. He didn't look, there would be teams that would be out to maybe put an early tackle in him, but he kind of just brushed that off. Whereas he doesn't look, I don't know, just the last couple of games for me, he looks like he shouldn't be playing. He looks like he maybe needs a wee bit of a rest, that he's beginning to find it a wee bit more difficult. He's not getting the space up here that he probably got down south. And I would imagine that he would start on the bench on Thursday and perhaps Sunday as well. I think that's a game for Ant-Man on Thursday, and probably Ant-Man or Finlay Curtis on Sunday as well.
Yeah, so the sort of chat is pretty samey to you, to be honest, with Ant-Man maybe starting in there ahead of him on Thursday night. And I will go to this. I will go to this just now. Dex, does the panel think we can beat Genk and Livy? Andrew, you can have that one first, my friend.
Well, it's really easy, right? We should be good enough to beat these guys, right? I think if we'd looked at this squad devoid of the performances that we've seen, we would absolutely say that, yes, this squad's got more than enough to get results against those 2 teams. The issue is that we haven't seen the performances to match up with the ability that's in the squad. To go back to more really quickly, I think if I'm Finlay Curtis, I'm shocked that I'm not getting a game. I think Ant-Man has not impressed as much since his first performance. But this past game looked much better. You know, that run where he goes past about 5 guys and is a couple of inches away from scoring was excellent. And I want to see more of that. And I think that's what our wide players should be doing. I think wide players is like a misnomer because Gassama's already doing plenty of this.
Yeah.
Our right-sided wingers, let's say, should be doing much more of that. And that's why I really like Finlay Curtis, because he does make things happen. He does go at teams and put someone to the back foot. Can we beat these two teams? We should be able to beat them. Whether we can, whether we will, I don't know. It depends on which version of Rangers decide to show up for us, unfortunately. But I like to think so.
No, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. The proof in the pudding will be, for me, dependent on what sort of boost they take from winning at Ibrox. Do you know what I mean? I think the last Scottish team they beat out with yesterday was Alloa. So it's grim. It's grim when you think about it. Sheryl, where are you Thursday and Sunday for next week? Do you have any thoughts on how well or not we may do?
Well, do you know what? We're doing 3 games in 4 days because we're going to Genk on Thursday and then we're heading down to the Etihad on Saturday for Man City and Burnley, and then we're back up on Sunday because we've got tickets for Livy. So I need to go for 3 wins in 4 days for us, please. But thank you to Bluebells Are Blue, because I haven't had time, obviously everything that's going on out with football, to have a look. I would normally have a wee look and see what's happening with Genk, but I just seen his comment come up there saying that they've had a pretty poor start to their season. I know that we've played them. Did we play them 2023? When was it? It was recently though, wasn't it? Like the last few seasons we've played them. I'm sure.
I can't remember. I'll need to do my research on that. I'm writing it down so that you
Dougie,
think
if you can hear us. Come on, Dougie.
Dougie will be watching. He's still trying to work. So obviously the draw's been made for the next round, and we have been drawn against our good friends across the city. First weekend in November. Andrew, would you rather have them in the semi or the final?
I don't think it makes too much of a difference, really, because generally, if you want to win something, you need to beat them. To be honest, I think in the league, that's been our best performance so far in the Old Firm, because we kept a clean sheet. So I've got no fear there. I'd be more worried if it was Motherwell or St Mirren, you know? So, bring them on. Like, we know that we have to get past them to win the cup. We've shown, even at our absolute worst, and we really have been at our absolute worst these past few weeks, we've still got them. Like, we can still go toe-to-toe with them. Not necessarily get the win, but, you know, we can easily hang in there with them. So, yeah, bring them on, man. But that's November time. You know, we could be 2 managers down by then. So,
do you know, you're absolutely. I can't believe we're staring down the end of September and we're sitting second bottom of the league. I genuinely can't believe it. If there's one thing you when we go back to sort of before the season starts, and we've got the Ancelotti noise, we've got the Gerrard noise, we have the Russell Martin noise, and then the eventual appointment, and everyone's up in arms about it because nobody's that overly amused with him coming in. You never think for a second, and I don't care what anyone says, you never think for a second you're staring at the end of September being so far down the league without a win domestically in the league. And for that reason, you can understand why the support are so scunnered with it, regardless of what happened to the weekend. One swallow doesn't make a summer, etc. We get that. It puts us into a cup that we're defending this year. I think a lot of people are forgetting that, do you know what I mean? Clement won this trophy last year. This is our trophy. It's ours to defend, and we should be at this stage. We should be in the semi-finals. We should be looking towards the final to defend the trophy. I just think we'd all feel way more confident and a bit more happy about it if the season had started even with a little bit more, a smidgen more positivity than what we're seeing just now.
I mean, if you want to put a positive spin on it, we're only 1 win away from being third.
Well, goodness me, I'll take a drink of this first.
I mean, let's not talk about how many points it will take us to get to second or indeed first, but still, we're not totally out of it just yet. We're just not, where we need to be, really. Yeah. And hey, thank God for Aberdeen, because they're keeping us out of being relegated.
Sheryl, I want to speak about Russell Martin post-match. I think for what it's worth, I think Russell Martin has spoke on Friday at how difficult, maybe he's had some personal things I think went on last week. And we sort of share his pain for that. We know that they're all human beings ultimately in the first instance, and things do come up, not football related things and life related things that are super, super important. And I think he's had that of late. He was still a little bit prickly, I thought, Sheryl. We know that Stevie asked him the question about or made the statement to him rather about them not looking like they had been coached. He inadvertently bit and clung on to that a little bit, I think, at the weekend when he said that they did look coached this week.
Yeah. Do you know what? I was there for that press conference when Stevie and David spoke to him. What was it, 4 minutes and 15 seconds, the world's shortest press conference. I think, do you know what? I get that he's probably a bit peed off, but that I think this is where he does himself no favours whatsoever, because he doesn't have the record or the performances to be so arsey about. So when he comes out and he is quite arsey, that it gets everybody's backs up. Do you know, and this is where we're at with this relationship. I don't think he's doing himself a lot of favours. I think what we needed, and I said it last week, we need to see a wee bit of humility from him, a wee bit of, look, I understand why people are so annoyed, I understand why they're getting upset, but this is but you're not getting that from him. You're getting these kind of arsey responses, and it's not building any bridges with the support. I mean, he knows, even his response to, people don't want you here. Well, they didn't want me here in the first place. It's not really helping matters. And it makes him look ultra defensive, and it's not winning him any kind of supporters whatsoever. I think and the difficulty is, even if he does, if we start to get the performances a wee bit now, that I think those bridges are pretty much burnt, and it is going to be really, really difficult to win the support back round because of the nature of how he's been so far.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. Now, the reality is, with any Rangers manager, Andrew, you're always one result away from the world caving in around you. I think that's absolutely right. I think that's fair. It's a Scottish football thing, I think, based on where we are and who we're up against. He has the problem is in that everything that I think we've seen, read, heard since he came up, very little of it has become a thing. Very little of it has become visible. And there's been elements of, it's not my problem, Gov, I think, frankly, since the start of the season. There's no doubt in my mind that if Genk was to go sort of belly up on Thursday, we're back into that chain again. The banners are out on Sunday. The banners may yet be out on Sunday. It feels very race to the bottom type stuff for me just now, literally, in some cases, Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken in the past before. The only thing that gets Russell Martin out this hole is to win games. Performances are one thing. I mean, it'd be lovely to see fantastic, fast-flowing, free-moving, attacking football, but ultimately, if you get results, then that reduces the temperature a lot.
Yeah,
and that's been the problem. That's been the main problem. It's the reason why folks are pissed off, because we're sitting 11th in the league and we haven't won a game in the league yet. That's why folk are aggrieved, let's say. It's only going to improve by winning games. And you've got a really good opportunity. Like, Hibs was a great opportunity to start to change that narrative. And they've got that, but it's the first step. If you can get a result in Europe, if you can get a result in the league against Livy, which we've never had our troubles to seek there. We know exactly what Livy will do. We know that they'll be hardworking, but by the same token, we should absolutely be able to beat them. And to be honest, Scotty, I think you're being far too generous. You say that we're one game away from a crisis. You can be a misplaced pass away from a crisis at Rangers.
Yeah.
But that's the nature of the job. Everyone coming into this knows what they're getting into. Russell Martin especially knows what he's getting into before he joins Rangers, because he's played for us. Albeit a tough time for the club, but he still is well aware of what the pressure is when it comes to being the manager of Rangers. The rewards are phenomenal if you're, the manager of Rangers, because if you get wins, if you get results, if you win trophies, you get access to the Champions League, you become a hero to one of the most loyal fan bases in the world.
Yeah.
But it comes with a pressure. That's going to be the nature of the beast. You could go to an English Championship club and, poodle along and get draws and get, the occasional result here and there. And that'd be fine. It's quite safe. But it's not as fun, though, is it? Like, you want to be at a club where every result matters, every kick of the ball matters. That's what Rangers is. And so it's a fantastic opportunity. It should be the kind of thing that, if you have a desire to grow in the game, if you want to be the best manager, you should want to manage at a place like this, because everything matters so much. And the fans will go with you, because we've seen when we've been under the cosh, when we've been in the depths of these poor results, that if you can get results, if you give the fans something to cheer for, then the fans will come with you. The fans were murderous yesterday. Protest before the game, protest during the game. By the end of the game, everyone's singing and having a good time. The 30,000 or so who were at the game. The fans will come with you if you give them a reason to come with you. And that's what Russell Martin needs to start doing more of. The fans will be there for it.
Sheryl, Blue Sea of Ibrox makes a really good point. He's on a one-game rolling contract at the moment. It feels like that, doesn't it? This has got, I think we're into that sort of stage where there's elements of waiting for it to go belly up just to see how the reaction is. We all want a successful Rangers. I've said before, and I think I said it when you, Sheryl, and I were on with Dougie and Rob, and my suggestion was I'm not bothered if my Rangers team run and run and run and run. I don't care if they can walk up hills. I don't care if they can swim in Loch Lomond 2 lengths. But I do want to know is my Rangers team can win, and they can win the next week and the week after that, and they can put together a run of results. And we haven't seen that thus far, which we know. But based on what we have seen, it does feel like he's on match to match. And I do think if we don't get a result against Genk on Thursday, you can argue about how high you want to put the Europa League as far as importance is concerned. If it doesn't go well on Thursday, Sunday could get quite messy.
Do you know what? I think he is with us, yes, right? And I'd be interested to hear what you guys think of this. But I think, my own personal belief, and I could be wrong in this, is even if he had lost yesterday, I still don't think he would have been removed. I think the board are pretty much behind him. I think the owners are behind him. And I think, if he loses, if we lose on Thursday, or I think even more so if we lose on Sunday, it's going to be pretty unbearable with the support. I think the protests will be ongoing. But the feeling I have around him is, whether we like it or not, whether the wider support like it or not, I think he's here for the long haul. And that is where I think for us as support, it gets very, very difficult, because what do you do with that?
Yeah. I would like to have thought, considering Andrew Kavanagh was there, he couldn't have ignored the noise. Now, I'm not suggesting for a second they would have pressed the button on him immediately on Saturday night. However, I think if we'd went out the cup that we're effectively defending, and the noise around that pre-match and then potentially losing yesterday, it would have been too noisy for him to ignore it. But I take your point. When you look at the players that have came in, all his players, you look at the changes that I imagine have went in and around the football club from the training centre, and maybe within Ibrox, maybe he's been involved in that. The Kevin Thelwell stuff, Dan Purdy's in now as well. I think the operation at the moment just seems to be way bigger than just bumping the manager when things are going belly up, but they have been. And that's where it becomes such a fine balancing act, I think, for Andrew Kavanagh. Listen, this has been a good chat, and we are well under the hour mark, so well seen Dougie and Rob aren't on, Sheryl. You know what I'm saying?
Dougie's still not able to get out his front garden for all the people that are waiting there to luncheon.
Sheryl, it's always good having one of the originals on. Thanks for joining us tonight. Well done.
Thank you. It's lovely to be back with you. And thank you, Andrew, for joining us. It's been lovely to have you.
Here. Welcome anytime, Andrew. Well done. Thank you.
Well, always a pleasure, pals. And yeah, fun to be here on a Sunday, chatting about a Rangers win. Long may that continue.
It's genuinely unheard of, as I say. I mean, I was being a bit pithy when I said we get to the end of a weekend, and it's actually quite celebratory, but it genuinely is. It's quite a nice feeling tonight, to be honest with you. Before I let you go, we should say thanks to our sponsors, Black Rooster, Clydeview Joinery, CSD Air Conditioning, Art of Gold, Athol Industrial Solutions, and of course, our extended thanks to the guys at iSport Media who look after the Sunday show all season. So we're really grateful for all of these people's support. The guys are back during the week with all of the pods on Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Looking ahead to the weekend, we will be in the gantry. I don't know who's in the gantry on Thursday. Stevie will be there with someone, but we are in there on Thursday night with a vlog to follow. And Sheryl and Doogie and Rob and I all return 2 weeks from now. Have a good week, and we will catch you later. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.